All right, Frankie. Long time coming. Moved to bantamweight, right? I mean, how did you make the decision ultimately?
I just thought it was the time. I fought for the belt at 45 a couple times. Came up short a couple times, and my coaches, Mark especially, Ricardo, been telling me to go down to 35 for quite a long time. So I figured, let's get a new beginning. I know getting a title shot at 45 it would be tough. For the third time. I don't want to fight for second place, so I'll go down 35 and make a run for it.
Is this something you're like excited about, or that you're kind of being dragged into kicking and screaming? Because it is something that you put off for a long time.
I've been reluctant, I really have, and I want to be excited about it. I'm not excited about dieting and losing weight and all that, although I think I'll do it the right way and it won't be too bad. I'd probably walk around what most 35-pounders walk around at, and but once we get a fight announced and everything, I know I'll get excited.
I would imagine you would know that. I mean, being around the sport for as long as you have, and being around 35ers. I mean, are you a 35er? Like realistically, have you been a 35er this whole time?
I think I have. I walk around after my training camps. I walk out of training like 54, 53 sometimes, and I'm sure no 45ers are doing that. No 55ers are doing that, obviously, and I'm pretty sure these guys walk around 60, 65.
So why do you think? Can you put it into words why you put this off and why you fought it for so long? If that is your natural, quote unquote natural weight class.
I always wanted it to be about fighting. I didn't want it to be about cutting weight. The sport, especially the sport, was originated to see who was the best fighter, not who was the best weight cutter, who was the best athlete, who was the best fighter, which skill was the best. And I was able to use my skills to beat bigger guys, and that's was my story, and I kind of liked that. I like being a little guy battling the big guys. But, these guys are getting better. They're getting more athletic. They're getting better at cutting weight. It's like these guys are getting bigger and better, and younger. So, got to do something.
I mean, do you look at it, like, what's your opinion just in general on, I mean, obviously from a competitive standpoint, you don't like it because it's just like, why are we doing it? But, like, as far as just weight cutting in general in this sport, I mean, what are some of your other opinions on it?
Yeah, like I said, it takes away from the fighting aspect of it. It's like people that are really into CrossFit. I don't want to be the best worker outer. You know what I mean? I want to be the best fighter. I don't want to be the weight cutter. I want to be the best fighter. And some guys are just really good at cutting weight, and they're really good at putting weight back on. And they're not the same guy they were the day before. But if you can make the weight and you can recover and you can perform, by all means you should be able to do it.
I suppose. Do you think there's a solution? Like, do you think someone should act on this, whether it's commission or the UFC or fighters themselves or whatever? I mean, do you think it requires action?
No, I don't think so. Less people are missing weight, I've noticed, so I think they're starting to figure it out. And I don't know how you could control it. The only way you can control it is if you did same-day weigh-ins or hour weigh-ins. Like in college, that's what I did. We weighed in, and I wrestled an hour later. You can only cut so much weight doing that. That's kind of miserable. It takes away from the ceremony part of it, too, and the promoting part of it, so it probably won't happen.
Yeah. I know this is probably going to be a difficult question for you to answer because I know that you don't want to be looked at as making any type of excuse, but when you fought Max, what factor did size play into that fight, in your opinion?
If you've seen it, you can see. I was definitely the smaller guy. I'll never say I lost so small. I think there were some things I could have done better. I'm sure if I had some more size, those things would have been easier to do. But I still think I could have done things better in that fight, regardless of my size. So, Max was just a better guy that night.
What are you anticipating in terms of like the cutting weight? Like, what is the process going to look like for you?
I'm sure the last day making 45 sucks. I don't care. I really cut maybe 3 pounds, but the fact that you got to wait till the morning to eat all that stuff, it mind you a little bit. 35 is going to be a little bit more intense with that, and I'm going to be much more disciplined. 45 I could eat pizza the week before my fight, no problem. Yeah. I'm not going to be able to do that at 35. Yeah.
Mark has said, like, flat out that it's safer for you to be fighting at 35. Do you agree with him?
I don't know. It's easy for Mark to say that. I don't think he's cut any weight in his life. You know what I mean? It probably is as far as taking punches and taking damage. It is safer. I'm getting hit by guys that are just way less, and I'm sure that'll help my longevity. Or wrestling guys that weigh less, that'll help my joints and whatnot. But I'm cutting weight now, so, and I never really had to do that. In college, I cut my fair share of weight in high school and whatnot. And back then you didn't do it the right way, you know, and you had to do it weekly, which is much harder. You know, now we only do it a couple times a year, and I'm going to have a nutritionist and all this. So, you know, I anticipate that I'll be good to go.
Are you going to work with anybody, or are you confident in doing it yourself?
Well, you know, I usually worked with, you know, George in the past, Lockhart. You know, I know he reached out, so we'll figure something out.
Okay. Well, let's talk about something fun, and that is when you do move a weight class, you have a lot of new matchups. So, I mean, you're a guy who's fought a lot of different people. I'm sure you look around that division and see some fun fights. I mean, who interests you? I mean, obviously the belt, but what are some fights that interest you there?
Yeah, I mean, the belt, you know, I don't know. I don't like looking around too much because there's just so many good guys, you know. I mean, that's the beauty of our sport. I don't have to worry about a guy until I have to fight him. So I try not to think of scenarios like, oh, that guy's good, that guy's. There's so many good guys, you know. These weight classes are just deep. Like back in the day, it was like, now they're deep, man. 10 deep these weight classes are, guys that are good and legit. So I think there's, you know, many matchups, but I'm not thinking of them until they get announced, you know.
How close are we to getting an announcement on one?
I think close, you know. That's probably a question better for Ali, but I think close, you know. I mean, there's no, you know, everyone knows I want to fight in New York. It's my backyard, and I'm not going to fly nobody anywhere, so well, hopefully we get that.
I mean, what were you did you have any expectations in terms of coming down a weight class, fresh off of a title fight, what type of opponent you'd be getting?
No, I didn't know. I don't know. You know, I'm letting out. I've never turned down an opponent. I've never picked an opponent. I'm at my point where I don't need to pick anybody. I don't need to, you know, choose anybody. I'll let Ali and Mark handle it. Ali will call me or Mark will call me. I say, talk to Mark, and you guys figure it out.
Well, if I can step outside of a journalist and be a fan for a second, I would love to see you fight Dominick Cruz. Is that one that maybe interests you just because of what he's accomplished in his career?
He's a legend. You know, he's possibly the best 35er that's you know that's been around the UFC. So I mean, sure, that's definitely an interesting matchup. But you know, I don't know how healthy he is. He's been out for quite a while. So you know, yeah, I'm game for all these guys.
Other than the process of cutting weight, what do you expect are the biggest changes from fighting a 45er to a 35er?
Well, I think 35ers are going to be a little quicker. They could be a little more athletic, you know. It's only 10-pound difference, but, you know, they're not going to be as tall either. So I think that'll help too. You know, I'm going to be about their size, you know. I don't think I've really ever been anybody's size except maybe when I fought Uriah and he was a 35er. Yeah.
What was the biggest challenge of fighting bigger guys? Was it height, reach? Was it, you know, trying to wrestle them, just these bigger frames? What was the most difficult part of it?
I think the height and reach is always a hard thing, but I think, you know, I could land, you know, 3 good punches and maybe not back the guy up where he lands one punch and my head's going to snap back just because he's got 20 pounds on me. You know, 20 pounds is a big difference. What
is like the one fight that sticks out in your mind or the one opponent where you felt like you hit him in, like what you just described and he wasn't going anywhere?
I think Max, you know, that was the most recent one because it's fresh in my head. You know, I mean, I definitely thought I hit him with some good punches and you just couldn't back him off so much, you know. And I watched some of the replays and hit me with a jab, and my head snaps back, you know. And it's just fucking size matters. And I hate to say that, man. I hate to say it.
How about Marlon? Where does this all fit in? Did you have a conversation with him? Obviously, you guys are very close.
Yeah, I talked to Marlon, man. I told Marlon, you know, I'd never fight Marlon. It's never an issue for me, and you know, we'll work whatever we got to work out.
Thoughts on the champion of that weight class? Obviously, you're going down there, and there's the champ there is Henry Cejudo. What do you think of him?
I mean, listen, I think he's a very good fighter. That's about it. No, you know, he's got his shtick, man, and, you know, he could run with it, but that's not my thing. You know, obviously, you know that, and he could be funny at times, but, you know, he's king of cringe. He's definitely fucking accomplished that. Yeah.
I mean, I've covered your career for a long time, and it just doesn't seem like you've ever really disliked anybody. Not that I can really recall. And I feel like you do dislike Henry. Is that fair to say?
I don't want to say I dislike him because I don't think he has enough of my attention for me to dislike him. I don't know any of these guys, really. You know what I mean? If I don't train with you, I don't really know you, so I can't dislike you. I may not, you know, want to hang out with you, but it doesn't mean I dislike you.
Real quick, I'll look through just make sure I didn't forget anything, but I think you got it all, man.
You know, a lot of these guys, they get this persona and stuff to promote themselves, and does it work though? Like, are these guys selling more pay-per-views? Are they selling more merchandise? I don't know.
I mean,
I'm wondering. I'm asking a question, so I don't know. If it's not, they should stop this shtick, I think.
I think Henry's was slow to work. You know, it was like he was doing it and it wasn't really gaining attention, but then he stuck with it, and now the whole King of Cringe thing, like, yeah, I think it's working.
Traction. I know if it's working for him, go ahead. But I wonder how many people you're turning away with that as well.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the closest thing you've ever come to with trash talk in your entire career. And off the top of my head, I cannot think of a single example.
I've done some stuff that probably wasn't very good, so no one remembered it. You know what I'm saying? I got, if someone says something to me, I always say I'll respond back, but I'm not going to come up with nothing. I'm not the most creative guy, Yeah. I try to keep it in a cage. What
about the fan reaction to you going down to 135? It seems pretty positive.
It does. It seems positive. You have some people that say some stuff, and, I don't, of course, the fans are why we do this and why we're able to do this, but I don't make any decisions based on the fans. I listen to my team, my coaches, and really ultimately myself.
How about just, I know Mark told me that this is a question you've been facing since you fought Chad Mendes, but your age, and now you're dropping down a weight class. I mean, can you kind of just give a assessment of how you feel at 37 and what you feel like you have left?
I feel good. I don't know what a 37-year-old is supposed to feel like, but I feel good. I'm in the gym all the time. I'm working out with guys that are fucking 10 years younger than me every day, and, I'm keeping up with them. So as long as that, continues, I'll stay in as long as I can.
All right, man. Looking forward to Madison Square Garden if we see you there. Thanks for the time.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports and analysis, download the ESPN app. And for live streaming and special content, subscribe to ESPN+.